Hi there, this is Jacob Nash, and this is a review of Module 25 on psychoactive drugs. So let's talk about this. So, what's a substance use disorder? A substance use disorder is when you crave something despite disruption in your life. So, if you, for example, if you have to drink alcohol and it's somewhat disrupting your life, maybe it's causing you to have financial issues, maybe it's causing you to be late for work or something, that is a substance use disorder. Psychoactive drugs, these are just chemical substances that alter perceptions and moods. Tolerance, what tolerance is the more you use, the more you choose. So what does that mean? Well, basically, sometimes you develop a tolerance to something. What is tolerate? Like if you tolerate someone, then you're like, okay, that's not bothering me as much. So in the case of a drug, the drug's not affecting you as much. Which, if you're addicted to it, then that means you're going to use more so that it can still affect you as much. So that's what tolerance means. It means that the more you use something, the more of it you're going to eventually have to use. All right. So addiction and withdrawal. Addiction, this is just a compulsive craving of drugs despite knowing consequences of using them. And then withdrawal, that's just the discomfort and distress after continuation. So when people stop using something, for example, cold turkey, very difficult to do. Can't, sometimes it's hard to just randomly not do something anymore. So I know that usually I might make these videos a little bit more interesting or something, but this isn't a very good topic for some people, and it's not a very good topic for me. I don't like that. I don't like this stuff. I personally don't think it's a good idea to use any of these things that are listed, and I have my reasons. But anyways, the depressant, these are the three kinds of psychoactive drugs: depressants, stimulants, and hallucinogens. Depressants, these are stuff that makes things go down. So what does that mean? Things, that's pretty basic, right? Well, I'm talking about like most things that you can think of, like maybe heart rate, for example, goes down when you use these things. Alcohol, believe it or not, is bad for you. Maybe in small amounts, the effects aren't as bad, but we do know that alcohol, a continued use of it, is bad, very bad. Barbiturates, that these are things that could be prescribed to you, for example, to treat anxiety. Opiates, so these are things like heroin. So these things make things go down. Stimulants, they make things go up. That's caffeine. That's why when you use any of these things, you might feel more energetic. Caffeine, you think that's good? Really, there have been some studies, I think, that said that there were some good things about caffeine, but in my opinion, I'm pretty sure the bad things are more than the good things. Like there's more bad things that come from caffeine. Caffeine's probably the least bad one of all these, I would say. But you got to be careful. Don't drink coffee too much. Don't drink energy drinks. Energy drinks are bad. Don't drink those. That's bad. And then amphetamines. Amphetamines are simply, so like I said, if they're stimulants, then that means that things are going to go up. For example, heart rate. And so these and amphetamines. Sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought. Amphetamines, they will just speed up body functions. And I don't think you really have to know the specifics about it, but you just need to know that it is a stimulant. So, nicotine. Nicotine is obviously bad for you. That's in cigarettes, that's in vaping things. They're bad for you. Don't do that. And from my personal experience, I don't think I've ever met someone that smoked that was not addicted. That's the unfortunate thing. I've met drinkers, alcohol drinkers that aren't addicted, but most nicotine users, or cigarette users, whatever you want to say, they are addicted because it only takes a couple times for the body to crave it. So yeah, if you haven't started, don't start. You have, then stop. And I know it's not that simple, but it's a good idea to try to make an effort to stop. I know people that have died from things like this. So it's in your best interest to not do that anymore. Cocaine. Well, obviously we know that one's not good, right? Coca-Cola actually used to have that in it. That's kind of weird, right? But I think that was before they knew how bad it was. It's a dopamine trigger. It blocks the reuptake of it. It's like, I'm the new thing now. And that's not good because then no dopamine. What do you think is going to happen? Dopamine helps you, for example, helps your mood and motivation. Use cocaine, not going to be good. Meth, you hear about meth busts and stuff. Meth is also methamphetamine is a stimulant also. So listen to Mr. Early James, who I had the privilege to meet a couple weeks ago. Oh, I mean my cousin.
Too much nicotine, caffeine, and wine.
Too much nicotine, caffeine, and wine. Yeah. Don't use those things. And let me tell you something now. All right. See how these are opposites? Down, up, down, up. Well, if you use any combination of these things, that's even worse. Bad enough to use them on their own. So if you use alcohol and barbiturates, so let's say you are a drinker, like a common drinker, you drink every day and you're given like some kind of anxiety thing. That makes things go down, 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 done. Unfortunately, that's what would happen. Too much down, that's bad. Things go up. Do you smoke and drink coffee? Up, 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 heart attack. That's not good. You don't believe me? That can happen. The worst thing, though, is if you use a combination of these things. They say, heck no, don't drink caffeine if you're on anxiety things. Because up, down, body will shut down completely. That's why we have things like overdoses. Sometimes you might think, oh, they just use that so much. It is bad on its own, but it's probably because they were using something else too. There's so many deaths from these things you wouldn't even know. All right, third thing, hallucinogens. These things are still bad. In my opinion, they're not quite as bad, but they are still bad, and I would not advise using them. They make perceptions altered. Ecstasy, MDMA. This is also considered a stimulant. Then LSD. LSD, that's something that's a little bit crazy. Near-death experience. There's kind of crazy things that happen when someone uses LSD. If you've ever seen, what's it called? Rainbow River, Strawberry River. That's what it's called. The Jack Black Strawberry River. That's pretty much what happens. Everything's just kind of weird. Your senses are getting all mixed up. Some people say they taste colors, they see sounds, hear sights or something, and they forcibly gave people LSD in something called MK Ultra. MK Ultra. If you are familiar with the band Muse, you might not be, you might be. But MK Ultra is a song that's about that. Yeah, but I don't need to play the whole thing. You listen to that on your own if you want. But anyways, in something called MK Ultra, it used to be considered a conspiracy theory, but it's true. It was during the Cold War. I don't really remember the reason why they did it. They just gave people LSD and like did terrible things like electrocute them, and they like pretty much ruined their brains. Like they had different personalities afterwards. They didn't remember things. It was terrible. Now, LSD and things like this, these hallucinogens, and another one is marijuana. So marijuana, pot and stuff like that. That's not so good. A lot of these things, you got to know that if someone ever gives you these things, they say, I'm giving you cocaine, I'm giving you marijuana. A lot of times it's not actually 100% what it is. Marijuana is commonly sold as marijuana, but it also is pretty much made of grass and manure. Don't believe me? Well, that's fine, but it's true. A lot of it, not all of it, but a lot of it is sold that has that stuff in it. It has THC in it. That's the main thing that's in it. But that's what's in marijuana. I'm talking about the thing that you get. It might have grass and stuff in it. But these things can sometimes be used for random reasons. Some people are addicted to these things, though. This is my cousin, Isaac. Isaac went to a Fish concert. If you know the band Fish, you probably don't. There's like a 99.55546 chance that you don't know this band. But a lot of the people there utilize these things. Just watch the video he recorded. Okay, yeah, you probably couldn't see, but just look up a video of a Fish audience and you'll see there's commonly busts that the police do. And sometimes people seem to be fine using these things, but in my opinion, like I said, these things aren't quite as bad as these things, but they still can have some bad effects to them. But, okay, oh, that was a terrible combination. All right. Let's talk about the opiate obscenity. Well, here's something you got to know. Opiates, what are they again? Depressants. They replace endorphins. What are endorphins? Do you remember from like module 9 or whatever? They are things that help you with pain. So, for example, you get hit in the head with a frying pan, you're gonna be like, ow. And then you rub that, oh, okay, back to normal. It eventually doesn't hurt. Maybe that's not a good example because that probably would hurt for a long time. Maybe a good thing is like if you hit your elbow on something, like that hurts, ooh, right? But then in a few seconds it doesn't. When you rub your arm, that creates friction that makes the body be like, oh, heat, that must mean it's a bad injury, and then it sends more endorphins. But opiates replace these. That's what happens. When they go into the body, they sneak in there and they're like, remember I called them like the neurotransmitter wannabes in module 9. They sneak in there like, and they're like, get the heck out of here, endorphins, and then they end up in the neural process instead. But guess what? When the opiate is gone, what do you think happens? Well, the endorphins don't come back. At least they don't right away. Imagine if you had no endorphins. That's a problem. That's the reason why people have withdrawals. That's why. Because things replace this is just the case for opiate, but a lot of these things that are on the previous slide, they replace some sort of thing that's good for your body. And then when it's gone, then the original thing didn't come back. That's why we have a problem. That's why it's so hard for people to get off of these things, because there's nothing you can do except for just wait it out. So you got to be really careful with these things. How do barbiturates influence the nervous system? All right, so some of these things I might have not talked about, so I apologize for that. But all right, they're depressants. They depress the nervous system activity, and they reduce anxiety while impairing memory and judgment. That is true. That's what they do. Number 2, what suppresses the central nervous system by giving a false feeling of well-being and efficiency, slower reaction time? That's an opiate. That's what they do. Depress. So you have to know it's either alcohol. Actually, alcohol is the correct answer to number 2 also. Barbiturates, you would have to know that it's one of those 3. But that fits the category of opiates and alcohol. Create an example of alcohol tolerance. This isn't saying alcohol tolerance isn't, this is a common misconception. It's not that they'll just, oh, now I can tolerate it. I don't get drunk anymore. Well, kind of, that's what it is, but it's not a good thing, because it doesn't result in people, they're just like, okay, fine. It's not doing anything anymore for me. I'll just keep doing the same amount. No, it's a bad thing, because it causes people to do that thing more. As Mayu drinks more alcohol, she seems to need to drink more and more for the same level of satisfaction. Which drug blocks the reuptake of dopamine? I told you, cocaine. It's a dopamine trigger. Which drug functions as a stimulant and hallucinogen that causes severe dehydration? I told you that was ecstasy. Also, MDMA is what it also can be called. Name the 3 drug categories: depressant, stimulant, hallucinogen. Which neurotransmitter is similar to opiates? Remember, I told you endorphins. They replace them. And opiates replaced endorphins. Create an example of drug tolerance. As Pierre continues to use opiates, he realizes that he must use high dosage for the same original effect. How is heroin classified? It's an opiate, which is a depressant. Which drug is associated with a near-death experience? That is LSD. And that would be it. Thank you for watching.